Alright, so in this next one, like promised, or as promised, I am going to go over main shapes that you need to know. So it's the triangles and there's the quadrilaterals. So if you also get stuck, you can check out in your maths textbook. I'll find the pages. All of these things, remember we actually covered all of these things already. So, where is it? Let me just find it quickly. Yeah, okay. So you've got all your triangles and everything. And then if you look here, yeah, so at the bottom of a kite it tells you all the properties that you need to know. It tells you the properties of a trapezium over here, all those types of things. Okay, so in the investigations it actually tells you, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tell you from me, just a shortened version. So let's start off with the triangles. So triangles, right, triangles, they always add up to, the inside angles always add up to 180 degrees. Okay, something else that you need to remember, they have 3 sides. Okay, so we've got different types of triangles. So let's make A, B, C, D. So we've got this triangle, we've got this triangle, we've got this triangle, and then we've got this triangle. Alright, so first of all I'm going to tell you what they are called. Alright, after that I'm going to just reiterate the properties of them. So the first one is called an equilateral triangle. Okay, it's equilateral. Lateral means sides. Okay, it's equilateral because all the 3 sides are exactly the same. Okay, if I am going to write equiangular, okay, it's actually in the name. So equiangular, those are all your angles. So that means that all the angles are the same. So that's 60, 60, 60. Okay. Remember I explained in the other video why it is important that those are 60 degrees. So in an equilateral triangle, they will all be equal angles of 60 degrees. Alright. Then, B. This is called an isosceles triangle. Okay, so these are the identities. This is what it will look like. So this is the name of the triangle. So in a test, you are not going to be asked, well, you actually might be asked what type of triangle it is. But when you have to start answering how you find the angles and all those kinds of things, you actually can't really say this as a reason. Okay, so this is the identity of it. So it's like saying this is Miss Craddock. So this is Miss Craddock, but the reason why she's Miss Craddock is because she is a teacher, she's this, she's this. So it's kind of like it's a different type of way to explain it. Alright? Then, something important about the isosceles, there are 2 sides that are the same, and the 2 bottom angles are the same. So whatever they're going to be, these 2 bottom angles here will be exactly the same, no matter what they are. So this can be 30 degrees, and that then will also be 30 degrees. Okay? Just remember that all angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So that means, if that's 30 and 30, that's 60. So that means that this top one here will have to be 120 degrees. Because altogether, they must give me 180. Okay, so those are the main two things about an isosceles. Then this one, you see this has one line, this has two lines, and this has three lines. That means that if this is 3, this has to be a different number, so that can be 7. And this has 3 lines, so it can be 2. Doesn't matter, okay, as long as the numbers are different. Alright, so that means that the angles will also be different. This is called a scalene triangle. Alright, that's when all the sides and all the angles are different. Okay, and then the last one, we have got a right-angled triangle. Okay, so that means we have a 90-degree inside our triangle. So there's our 90 degrees, wherever it is. So what happens is sometimes this can actually also become an isosceles. That can mean that this side plus that side gives me an, it could be that these two sides could be equal. But also something else that you can also remember is that this is called a resultant line. It's kind of like the answer to your questions. Basically, that's more in physics and all those other kinds of subjects in high school that you'll learn more about it. But just that you guys remember, this is basically like the longest line. Okay. Here we go. Alright, so those are your triangles. I don't think I'm missing anything, so I'm going to go on to the quadrilaterals. Okay, so triangles, remember, because they have tri in the name, means 3. So the same thing with a quadrilateral. When they have quad in the name, it means 4. So now, quadrilaterals means sides. So quad, 4 sides. Okay, so here's our quadrilaterals. They add up to 360 degrees. Okay, if you don't know, it's actually because 2 triangles can make up a quadrilateral. So triangle, triangle, and that's 180 plus 180 gives me 360. Okay, just for extra information. Don't need to know that. So it's when you have 4 sides or corners. Okay, so the first one, A, is a square. Okay, a square, basically, these are the things that I need you guys to know about it. There are more properties, but the main ones that you need to know now is what I'm going to be giving you. So a square, let's do it underneath. Okay, so a square is when you have all the sides are the same length. Okay, so if you want, maybe use different colors. I don't know if you want to do that. All sides equal. Okay, I'm going to use different colors. You don't have to, it doesn't really matter. That is purely up to you. I just feel like being creative. Okay, so you've got all sides equal. Then something that is usually pretty obvious about a square that you should know is that the opposite sides are parallel. So that means that they're running in the same direction to each other. So that one is running the same direction as that one. So that's one pair. Then this one is running the same direction as this one. Okay, so those are the parallel lines. Something else that you need to remember is because it's a square, this is at 90 degrees. So these lines are perpendicular to each other. So that line is running perpendicular to that one. They're running at 90 degrees to each other. So that means that these lines are straight up and straight to the side. Okay, so how can I write it? All angles are 90 degrees. Okay, I don't think I'm missing anything. That's pretty much it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to keep for you. And then what I'm going to do is next to it, I'm going to show you what a rectangle looks like. It's pretty much the same thing. There's only one difference. Oops, why am I writing a square? Rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to draw my very straight rectangle. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing here. One thing that you should all remember is that a rectangle has these two sides are the same length. It's 4 and 4, and then this will be 3 and 3 or whatever. Okay, so that means that these two sides are different lengths. Alright, so if you want to, you can even say that this is 3 centimeters and this is 5 centimeters, and this would be 5 and 3. Okay, whatever you want to do. So instead of all sides equal, rectangle, what would it be? Okay, opposite sides equal. Okay, so only the opposite sides are equal to each other. Alright, then the rest is pretty much the same. So opposite sides are parallel, so let's do parallel there and parallel there, and then all angles are at 90 degrees. Why? Because it is straight up and straight down. That's the difference between a rectangle and a rhombus and a square and a parallelogram. Okay, so there's a difference between all those, mainly to do with the angles. Okay, so then C, we're going to go on to the rhombus now. Alright, so rhombus isn't technically, if you think about it, you can get very confused between a square and a rhombus and a parallelogram. Okay, so just be careful with that, especially if they don't give you certain parts of your information. I won't be doing that with you yet, but you will be doing it in high school, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so oops, I'm doing it a bit skew, sorry. That's funny because it's a rhombus. Okay, so rhombus. Okay, so a rhombus compared to a parallelogram, they're pretty much the same. Okay, kind of like the square and the rectangle, pretty much the same. Okay, so I'm going to do it side by side so you can actually see it all together. Alright, so main thing that you guys need to know, that's pretty simple, is with a rhombus, all sides are equal. Okay, with a parallelogram, that's the different one. Alright, where we have opposite sides equal. So the side here is the same length as that one, it's the same length as that one. So if I take a ruler and I measure this side, that side should be the same length, okay? And the same as that side should also be the same length. Right. So, next one. Opposite sides are parallel, same thing. See, it's becoming exactly the same. Alright, so that's why it can get a bit tricky. And here we go. Then, what else was I going to write? Oh. There's this one you guys need to know. I'm going to use a different color because now it's not 90 degrees anymore. So, opposite angles. So, what's the opposite angle of this one? This one. Okay. So, they are opposite one another. The same as these two are opposite one another. Okay, so opposite angles are equal. They're the same. So if this is 60 degrees, then that means that this will also be 60 degrees. Okay, same thing. Then with the think it's the parallelogram. I'll double check quickly, but I think it's in the parallelogram. That is, it actually works for both of them, to be honest with you, but I think they only wrote it in a book for the parallelogram. Over here, it's called adjacent when it's next to each other. So the adjacent angles, 60 and this angle here, if you add them up, it's going to give you 180. The same as if you go that one plus that one. If you add them together, you're going to get 180. Let me see quickly. I don't want to tell you that it's in the one and it's not in the other one. But I know that it works for both of them, but I think I'm teaching it to you in the one. Yeah, okay, so they only put it in the rhombus. There we go, I knew it was a bit funny. So they only put it in the rhombus, so I just want you guys to remember that it actually works for both of them. But for some reason they only wrote it in the one. So I'm just going to do what they did and just keep it in the one. So basically, if I have to take angle A and angle B, so you know I'm doing this copy here, this is telling me it's an angle. So angle A plus angle B. So when they write it, they actually won't do it like that for you. They'll just say A and B. So you would know that this is angle A over here, and this is angle B. So angle A plus angle B equals 180 degrees. Okay, so this angle plus this angle gives me 180. The same as if I have to, so you don't have to write this part down, but the same as if I take angle B plus angle C, that's going to give me 180. The same as angle C plus angle D, or P, or whatever I just made. So if you add those two angles together, or these two angles together, whatever you're going to add together, it will give you 180 degrees. Okay, so basically, yeah, I was going to refer it back to something, but that's just going to confuse you. Alright, so it actually works for both of them, but what I want you guys to just remember is, just remember it for the rhombus for now. Right, it's actually, it works for both though. So just have that in the back of your mind. And then there is two more that I just want to cover with you. Okay, I'm going to do the simple one first, because the kite is a little bit more difficult. So we've got CD, E. So now we've got the trapezium. Sometimes they call it a trapezoid. And then you get an isosceles trapezium, and you get all these different things. Okay, so it's that one. And then sometimes you get one that looks like this. Okay. So the one main thing that you actually need to remember, it's only one thing really, is that there is one pair of parallel lines. So only these two lines are running together. Okay, so it's like a pair of shoes. So this is the one foot plus the other foot, that becomes a pair. Okay, so they belong together. Alright, so that's the only thing. And then just a little side note is, if you get something that looks like this, alright, remember that these two lines here will be the same length. Okay, because it actually creates a little triangle. Okay, and if you create a triangle there and a triangle there, and this looks like a square or a rectangle, then you've got little right angles, remember, because that's your properties of a square and a rectangle. Oh, this is not in focus here. There we go. Okay, so then if that's 90 degrees, that means that's 90 degrees. So then you got a rectangle. The same thing here. You can split it up into two different shapes. Alright. But these lines, that line will be the same as that one. Okay, but not the same as that one at all. That's not the same. Okay, and the same thing here. So that line will be the same as that one. And this line will be the same as this one. Okay. Alrighty. Moving on. Whew. I think I'm missing something. Oh well, if I miss it, I'll tell you about it. And they all add up to 360, remember, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. Okay, and then D, E, F. Last one. Okay, last one is a kite. Okay, a kite. Cool. So, just for interest's sake, if you guys want to, you can always just separate it in the middle and on the side so it looks like an actual kite. Okay. Just remember, the two short sides are the same length. Short sides are equal. Then we've got the two long sides are also equal to each other. So these two are the same length, but they're not the same length as that one because that one's shorter. So that can be like 3 and that can be like 7. So let's make this 7. And this one is 3. Okay. Then, one more property that you need to know for now. There's more, but the only thing that they really want you to know, remember, it is also 360 degrees because 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Other thing that you need to know is that these angles here are the same. Okay, so one pair of opposite angles equal. So this pair of this pair of angles, sounds weird, okay, is equal. So if this is 70 degrees, then that means that that's also going to be 70 degrees. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm not going to give you anything else. That's pretty much all that we're doing. I have given the kids some stuff to do in their blue books, so I don't know if you guys want to just do that as well. You should have actually been doing it, to be honest, because I did write it down. I can't find it now. Okay, so basically it's just some constructions. Yeah, here we go. There's the worksheet over here. Okay, so in your blue book on page 59, you had to draw a triangle below. Alright, I think, yeah, it's equilateral. So they're basically asking you to do that, and then you can actually measure it to see that it's the same degrees. And then the other one that I asked them to do is this one for me, which is on page 60. There we go. Where they give you the instructions. So construct a triangle with one angle of 90 degrees and one angle of 60 degrees without using a protractor. So then that's when you can use your set square. Actually. Yeah, so that's that. That's pretty much it for today. I'm actually going to leave it as is, and I will basically come back whenever I need to give you more information. But yeah, alrighty, bye guys, hope you have a good week further, stay warm.